Ludwig van Beethoven is often regarded as one of the most influential figures in the history of Western music. His life and work represent a unique combination of artistic brilliance, personal struggle, and a revolutionary spirit that reshaped the boundaries of music in his time and for generations to come. Born in the late 18th century, Beethoven's compositions bridged the classical and romantic periods, a testament to his visionary approach to art. More than 2 centuries later, his music continues to resonate with audiences worldwide, making him an enduring symbol of genius. Beethoven's genius is not merely a matter of technical proficiency or compositional innovation, though these qualities are undeniable in his work. What sets him apart is the depth of emotion, humanity, and philosophical inquiry imbued in his music. Works like the Moonlight Sonata, the Fifth Symphony, and the Ninth Symphony transcend their time, evoking universal themes of struggle, hope, and triumph. They reveal a composer who was not just a musician, but also a thinker, deeply engaged with the ideals of the Enlightenment and the human condition. The significance of Beethoven's legacy lies partly in his ability to redefine the role of the composer. In his era, musicians were often viewed as skilled craftsmen serving patrons, but Beethoven transformed this perception. He envisioned the composer as an artist and a visionary, creating music for posterity rather than merely fulfilling the demands of aristocratic patrons. This shift not only elevated his status, but also redefined the societal role of musicians, paving the way for later composers to assert greater artistic independence. Beethoven's life story is as compelling as his music. Born into a modest family in Bonn, he displayed prodigious musical talent from a young age, yet his journey was far from smooth. His father, a musician with unfulfilled ambitions, subjected Beethoven to intense training, often bordering on cruelty. Despite these challenges, young Beethoven's talent blossomed, and he gained recognition as a gifted pianist and composer. His early years were marked by promise and ambition, but they also foreshadowed the personal struggles that would define much of his life. One of the most remarkable aspects of Beethoven's story is his resilience in the face of adversity. His gradual hearing loss, which began in his late 20s, would have ended the career of most musicians. For Beethoven, it became a profound source of both despair and inspiration. Instead of retreating from his craft, he embraced it with greater intensity, channeling his emotions into groundbreaking compositions that expressed his inner world with unprecedented depth and power. Beethoven's music reflects his revolutionary spirit, not just in its bold innovations, but also in its connection to the broader social and political currents of his time. Living in the shadow of the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars, Beethoven was deeply influenced by ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. His Eroica Symphony, originally dedicated to Napoleon, symbolized the heroism and potential of the individual, a recurring theme in his works. Even when disillusioned by political realities, Beethoven remained committed to the idea of human progress and the transformative power of art. Another key to Beethoven's enduring appeal is his universality. His music speaks to listeners across cultures and generations, addressing themes that transcend specific historical contexts. Whether it is the relentless energy of his Fifth Symphony, the spiritual profundity of the Missa Solemnis, or the jubilant optimism of the Ode to Joy, Beethoven's works continue to inspire awe and introspection. They remind us of the shared emotions and aspirations that unite humanity. The influence of Beethoven's music extends far beyond the concert hall. It has permeated popular culture, appearing in films, advertisements, and even political movements. The opening motif of his Fifth Symphony is one of the most recognizable in the world, and the Ode to Joy has become a global anthem of unity and hope. This ubiquity underscores the timeless relevance of his art and its ability to speak to the human experience in diverse contexts. Beethoven's legacy is not just a testament to his creative genius, but also to his indomitable spirit. His ability to confront personal tragedy with courage and turn it into art serves as an inspiration to countless individuals. His story demonstrates that greatness often emerges from adversity, and his life remains a powerful example of perseverance and self-expression. In exploring the life and work of Ludwig van Beethoven, we encounter a figure who transcends the ordinary boundaries of history and art. His music, born from the depths of human struggle and aspiration, continues to illuminate the heights of human potential. Ludwig van Beethoven's journey into the world of music began in Bonn, Germany, where he was born on December 16, 1770. His early life was shaped by a combination of promise and hardship, factors that would profoundly influence his character and career. While Beethoven displayed exceptional talent as a child, his upbringing was far from ideal, marred by familial struggles and the weight of expectation. These formative experiences laid the foundation for his relentless drive and resilience, traits that would become hallmarks of his personality and artistic output. Beethoven's father, Johann van Beethoven, was a court musician who recognized his son's extraordinary potential at an early age. However, Johann was also an alcoholic and a harsh disciplinarian, subjecting Ludwig to rigorous and often brutal training sessions. Inspired by the success of child prodigies like Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Johann envisioned his son achieving similar fame and fortune. He frequently exaggerated Ludwig's age in public performances, presenting him as younger than he truly was to heighten the perception of his prodigious talent. While these efforts provided young Beethoven with early exposure to music, they also fostered an environment of pressure and instability. Despite these challenges, Beethoven's natural aptitude for music flourished. His early education came from a variety of teachers, including Christian Gottlieb Niffy, a respected composer and conductor in Bonn. Niffy played a pivotal role in nurturing Beethoven's talent, introducing him to the works of Johann Sebastian Bach and encouraging him to compose. Under Niffy's guidance, Beethoven published his first work, a set of keyboard variations, at the age of 12. This marked the beginning of his journey as a composer and established his reputation as a promising young musician. Bonn, a modest city compared to cultural centers like Vienna, offered limited opportunities for Beethoven to advance his career. However, the city's intellectual and artistic milieu provided a fertile ground for his early development. Beethoven's encounters with Enlightenment ideals, particularly those emphasizing individual freedom and the transformative power of art, profoundly influenced his worldview. These concepts would later become central to his music, infusing it with a sense of purpose and universal appeal. In 1787, Beethoven made his first trip to Vienna, a city that was rapidly becoming the epicenter of European music. Although his time there was brief due to the illness and eventual death of his mother, the visit was significant. It is believed that he met Mozart during this period, although the details of their encounter remain speculative. This brief exposure to Vienna's vibrant musical culture left a lasting impression on Beethoven and solidified his ambition to pursue a career as a composer. The death of Beethoven's mother in 1787 marked a turning point in his life. With his father's alcoholism worsening, Ludwig assumed responsibility for his younger siblings. This period of personal hardship was marked by financial struggles and emotional strain, but it also strengthened Beethoven's determination and independence. These experiences of adversity would later resonate in his music, which often reflects themes of struggle and resilience. By the age of 22, Beethoven had moved permanently to Vienna, where he sought to establish himself as a musician and composer. This decision marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one characterized by rapid artistic growth and the development of his unique musical voice. Vienna, with its rich cultural heritage and vibrant community of composers, provided an ideal environment for Beethoven to hone his craft and build connections with influential figures. Beethoven's early compositions reflect a blend of influences, including the classical traditions of Haydn and Mozart, as well as his own emerging style. Works such as his piano trios, Op. 1, and his first two piano concertos reveal his technical skill and innovative approach to form and expression. These pieces were well received, earning him recognition among Vienna's musical elite and establishing his reputation as a rising star. However, Beethoven's early successes did not come without challenges. As an ambitious young artist in a competitive environment, he faced the pressure to distinguish himself from his contemporaries while adhering to the expectations of patrons and audiences. This delicate balance required both creativity and pragmatism, qualities that Beethoven exhibited in abundance. His ability to navigate these challenges while maintaining his artistic integrity set him apart from many of his peers. In retrospect, Beethoven's early years were a period of both preparation and struggle. The hardships he endured, combined with the guidance of mentors and his exposure to diverse musical traditions, laid the groundwork for his later achievements. These formative experiences shaped Beethoven into a composer who not only mastered the conventions of his time, but also redefined them, paving the way for his groundbreaking contributions to the world of music. Beethoven's permanent move to Vienna in 1792 marked the beginning of a transformative period in his life. Vienna, often referred to as the City of Music, was the cultural capital of Europe at the time, home to some of the greatest composers of the classical era, including Joseph Haydn and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. For Beethoven, this move was both an opportunity and a challenge, a chance to establish himself in the epicenter of European music while grappling with the towering legacies of his predecessors. Over the next decade, he would rise from a promising young artist to one of the most celebrated musicians in Vienna. Upon arriving in Vienna, Beethoven began studying with Joseph Haydn, a revered composer known as the father of the symphony. This mentorship, while fruitful in some respects, was not without its difficulties. Beethoven's independent spirit and innovative tendencies often clashed with Haydn's more traditional approach to composition. Despite these tensions, Beethoven gained valuable insights into the principles of symphonic and chamber music under Haydn's guidance, laying the foundation for his later works. He also sought additional instruction from other prominent musicians, such as Johann Albrechtsberger and Antonio Salieri, further refining his skills. During this period, Beethoven quickly earned a reputation as a virtuoso pianist. His ability to improvise at the keyboard was particularly admired, often leaving audiences in awe of his creativity and technical prowess. In a city filled with talented musicians, Beethoven's performances stood out for their intensity and originality. These skills not only garnered him acclaim, but also attracted the attention of aristocratic patrons, who provided financial support and opportunities for public performances. Among his most important patrons were Archduke Rudolf, Prince Lichnowsky, and Count Waldstein, the latter of whom famously predicted Beethoven's future greatness. Beethoven's early compositions in Vienna reflect a blend of classical tradition and his own emerging style. Works such as his piano trios, Op. 1, and his first two piano concertos showcase his technical mastery while hinting at his desire to push the boundaries of form and expression. These pieces were well received by both critics and audiences, establishing Beethoven as a composer of considerable promise. Notably, his Op. 1 piano trios were dedicated to Prince Lichnowsky, a gesture that cemented his relationship with one of Vienna's most influential patrons. While Beethoven's initial successes in Vienna were encouraging, they were accompanied by significant challenges. The competitive nature of the city's musical scene required him to continually prove his worth as both a performer and a composer. Moreover, the pressure to balance artistic innovation with audience expectations was ever present. Beethoven's ability to navigate these challenges with confidence and determination was a testament to his resilience and ambition. His early triumphs in Vienna also hinted at the qualities that would define his later career: a relentless pursuit of artistic excellence and an unyielding belief in his creative vision. The turn of the century marked a critical phase in Beethoven's development as a composer. His works from this period, often referred to as his early period, reveal an artist deeply rooted in classical traditions, but eager to explore new possibilities. The six-string quartets of Op. 18, for instance, demonstrate his mastery of a genre perfected by Haydn and Mozart, while introducing a level of emotional depth and structural complexity that was distinctly his own. Similarly, his first symphony, premiered in 1800, adhered to classical conventions, yet contained subtle innovations that foreshadowed his later achievements. Beethoven's growing popularity in Vienna also brought him into contact with influential literary and philosophical movements. The ideals of the Enlightenment, particularly its emphasis on individualism, reason, and the pursuit of knowledge, resonated deeply with him. These ideas found expression in his music, which often reflected themes of personal struggle and triumph. Additionally, Beethoven's exposure to Romanticism, a burgeoning movement that celebrated emotion and imagination, began to influence his compositional style, setting the stage for his transition into the Romantic era. Despite his rising fame, Beethoven's personal life in Vienna was far from idyllic. He struggled with social isolation, partly due to his intense personality and partly because of his growing hearing loss. The latter was a source of profound anguish, threatening both his career and his sense of identity as a musician. Nevertheless, Beethoven's determination to continue composing and performing, even in the face of such adversity, became a defining aspect of his character. One of the most remarkable features of Beethoven's Vienna years was his ability to cultivate a distinct musical identity while building on the achievements of his predecessors. He respected the legacies of Haydn and Mozart, but he was equally committed to forging his own path. This balance between tradition and innovation is evident in his compositions from this period, which reveal a composer on the cusp of greatness. By the end of his first decade in Vienna, Beethoven had firmly established himself as a leading figure in the city's musical landscape. His reputation as a virtuoso pianist and a bold, innovative composer set him apart from his contemporaries, earning him the admiration of audiences and critics alike. These years not only solidified his position in Vienna, but also prepared him for the monumental works and artistic breakthroughs that would define his middle period. As Beethoven's star continued to rise, it became increasingly clear that he was not merely a product of his time, but a revolutionary force destined to reshape the course of music history. The interplay between adversity and achievement is a defining theme in Ludwig van Beethoven's life. The years following his early successes in Vienna were marked by profound personal struggles, particularly the onset of his hearing loss, which began to manifest in his late 20s. This period, often described as Beethoven's heroic period, was a time when he faced his challenges head-on, channeling his emotional turmoil into some of the most groundbreaking and expressive works of his career. His ability to transform personal pain into artistic triumph remains one of the most inspiring aspects of his legacy. Beethoven's hearing loss was not only a personal tragedy, but also a professional crisis. For a musician and composer, the gradual loss of hearing was a catastrophic blow, threatening the very foundation of his career. The condition began as a ringing in his ears, tinnitus, and progressively worsened, leaving him partially deaf by the early 1800s. By the time he reached his 40s, he was almost completely deaf. The exact cause of his hearing loss remains uncertain, though theories range from lead poisoning to autoimmune disorders. Regardless of its origins, the condition plunged Beethoven into despair and isolation. The psychological toll of his deafness is vividly captured in the Heiligenstadt Testament, a letter he wrote to his brothers in 1802. In this deeply personal document, Beethoven confessed his anguish over his condition, admitting that he had contemplated ending his life. Yet, he resolved to persevere, driven by a sense of artistic duty and an awareness of his unique musical talent. This letter, never intended for public view, provides a rare glimpse into Beethoven's inner struggles and his decision to confront his challenges with resilience and determination. Despite, or perhaps because of, these personal hardships, Beethoven entered one of the most prolific and innovative phases of his career. The works from this period are characterized by their emotional intensity, structural innovation, and a newfound sense of grandeur. His Symphony No. 3 in E-flat major, the Eroica Symphony, is a prime example of this transformation. Originally dedicated to Napoleon Bonaparte, whom Beethoven admired as a symbol of democratic ideals, the symphony represents a departure from classical conventions. Its heroic themes, extended structure, and dramatic shifts in mood mark the beginning of a new era in symphonic music. Beethoven's struggles also shaped his approach to piano music during this time. Works such as the Waldstein Sonata and the Appassionata Sonata showcase his ability to convey profound emotion and complex narratives through music. These pieces not only expanded the expressive capabilities of the piano, but also demonstrated Beethoven's technical mastery and willingness to push the boundaries of the instrument. The Appassionata, in particular, stands as one of his most dramatic and intense works, reflecting his inner turmoil and unyielding spirit. Another notable achievement of this period is Beethoven's Symphony No. 5 in C minor, a work that has become synonymous with triumph over adversity. The symphony's iconic four-note motif, often described as fate knocking at the door, serves as a unifying theme throughout the piece. The progression from the somber and turbulent opening movement to the victorious and jubilant finale mirrors Beethoven's personal journey, making the symphony a powerful statement of resilience and hope. Beethoven's personal life during this time was fraught with difficulties. He struggled to maintain close relationships, often alienating friends and patrons with his volatile temperament and uncompromising nature. His romantic pursuits were equally troubled, marked by unrequited love and failed attempts at marriage. Despite these setbacks, Beethoven's music remained a source of solace and expression, allowing him to articulate emotions he found difficult to convey in words. The composer's evolving relationship with his audience also reflects the broader changes in his career and character. Early in his life, Beethoven had been eager to please patrons and perform for the aristocracy. However, as his deafness progressed and his artistic vision became more ambitious, he increasingly focused on creating music that transcended the expectations of his time. This shift marked the emergence of Beethoven as a true romantic artist, committed to the idea of art as a vehicle for personal and universal expression. Beethoven's struggles during this period also fueled his belief in the transformative power of music. He saw himself as a bridge between the human and the divine, using his compositions to explore themes of heroism, humanity, and spirituality. This sense of purpose gave his works a profound depth and resonance, inspiring countless listeners and cementing his status as a visionary artist. Beethoven had not only overcome significant personal obstacles, but had also redefined the possibilities of music. His heroic period stands as a testament to the power of resilience, creativity, and the human spirit. The works he created during this time remain some of the most celebrated in the Western musical canon, offering a timeless reminder of the triumphs that can emerge from adversity. As Beethoven faced the challenges of his hearing loss and personal isolation, he transformed his struggles into art, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire generations. Ludwig van Beethoven's music is often described as revolutionary, not only because of its structural and technical innovations, but also because of the philosophical and emotional ideals it embodies. Living during a time of profound political and social upheaval, Beethoven was deeply influenced by the Enlightenment and the democratic ideals of the French Revolution. These influences, combined with his own personal struggles and visionary artistic spirit, resulted in compositions that broke with tradition and set the stage for the Romantic era. His work during this period illustrates the profound interplay between music and the broader currents of history and human thought. Beethoven came of age during the late 18th century, a time when the world was grappling with the revolutionary ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. The French Revolution, 1789 to 1799, had a significant impact on his worldview, as did the subsequent rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. Initially, Beethoven admired Napoleon as a champion of the common people, someone who embodied the democratic ideals of the revolution. This admiration is famously reflected in his Symphony No. 3, Eroica, originally intended to honor Napoleon. However, when Napoleon declared himself emperor in 1804, Beethoven, feeling betrayed, angrily scratched out the dedication, declaring that Napoleon was no better than the monarchs he had overthrown. This dramatic episode reflects Beethoven's deep connection to the revolutionary spirit, as well as his disillusionment with the realities of political power. The Eroica Symphony exemplifies Beethoven's revolutionary approach to music. At nearly twice the length of a typical symphony of its time, it challenged conventions with its expansive structure, complex themes, and emotional depth. The work's bold opening chords, followed by its heroic first movement, funereal second movement, and triumphant finale, convey a narrative of struggle and ultimate victory. This symphony not only redefined the symphonic form, but also demonstrated Beethoven's ability to convey universal themes through music, resonating with audiences who saw their own struggles reflected in his compositions. Beethoven's revolutionary spirit extended beyond his thematic choices to his approach to musical form and structure. Traditional classical forms, perfected by composers like Haydn and Mozart, emphasized balance, clarity, and order. Beethoven, while deeply respectful of these traditions, sought to expand and transform them. His works often featured abrupt dynamic shifts, unexpected modulations, and extended development sections, reflecting his desire to infuse music with greater drama and emotional intensity. These innovations challenged listeners of his time and helped redefine the relationship between the composer and the audience. The ideals of the Enlightenment also played a significant role in shaping Beethoven's musical philosophy. He believed in the power of music to elevate the human spirit and inspire social change. This belief is most evident in his Symphony No. 9, which he completed later in life but was conceived during this period. The inclusion of Friedrich Schiller's Ode to Joy in the symphony's final movement represents Beethoven's vision of universal brotherhood, a theme that aligns closely with the revolutionary ideals of equality and unity. Although the Ninth Symphony belongs to Beethoven's late period, its conceptual roots can be traced to the revolutionary fervor of his earlier years. Beethoven's piano compositions from this period also reflect his revolutionary mindset. The Appassionata Sonata, Piano Sonata No. 23 in F minor, is a striking example, showcasing his ability to convey intense emotion and drama through the keyboard. The sonata's turbulent first movement, lyrical second movement, and fiery finale create a powerful narrative arc, symbolizing struggle, reflection, and resolution. This work, like many of Beethoven's compositions, transcends the confines of traditional sonata form, pushing the boundaries of what was possible on the piano. Beyond his symphonies and sonatas, Beethoven's chamber music and string quartets also reflect his innovative spirit. The six string quartets of Op. 18, composed during his early years in Vienna, exhibit his mastery of classical forms, while the Razumovsky quartets, Op. 59, demonstrate his willingness to experiment with texture, structure, and thematic development. These quartets challenge performers and audiences alike, offering a glimpse of the bold, individualistic style that would define his later works. Beethoven's revolutionary approach to music was not limited to compositional techniques. It also extended to his role as an artist. In contrast to many of his contemporaries, who relied heavily on patronage and composed to suit the tastes of their employers, Beethoven saw himself as an independent artist. He believed in creating music that was true to his artistic vision, even if it meant challenging societal norms or alienating certain patrons. This sense of artistic autonomy was revolutionary in itself, paving the way for the romantic ideal of the composer as a solitary genius. The political and cultural revolutions of Beethoven's time also influenced his belief in music as a form of personal and collective expression. His works often conveyed themes of heroism, struggle, and liberation, resonating with audiences who were experiencing the turbulence of the Napoleonic Wars and other societal upheavals. By addressing these universal themes, Beethoven's music became more than mere entertainment. It became a medium for exploring and understanding the human condition. In summary, Beethoven's revolutionary spirit is evident not only in the content of his music, but also in his approach to composition and his role as an artist. His ability to merge personal expression with universal themes, while simultaneously pushing the boundaries of musical form, set him apart as one of the most innovative composers in history. By drawing inspiration from the ideals of his time, Beethoven created works that continue to inspire and challenge listeners, affirming his place as a transformative figure in the history of music. Ludwig van Beethoven's middle period, often referred to as his heroic period, is characterized by an explosion of creativity and a bold redefinition of musical norms. spanning roughly from 1803 to 1812. This period saw Beethoven grappling with his encroaching deafness while producing some of his most celebrated and influential works. During this time, he transcended the classical traditions he inherited from Haydn and Mozart, creating compositions that embodied his unique artistic voice. This phase of his career solidified his reputation as one of the greatest composers of all time and laid the groundwork for the Romantic era in music. Central to Beethoven's middle period was his determination to convey profound emotional depth and dramatic narratives in his music. This shift is most evident in his Symphony No. 3 in E-flat major, commonly known as the Eroica Symphony. Premiered in 1804, the Eroica represents a turning point in the symphonic genre. Its monumental scale, complex structures, and heroic themes shattered the conventions of the time, offering listeners a new vision of what symphonic music could achieve. This work exemplifies Beethoven's ability to blend personal expression with universal themes, making it a cornerstone of his middle period. Another hallmark of this phase was Beethoven's exploration of heroism and struggle, themes that often mirrored his personal challenges. As his hearing deteriorated, he faced increasing isolation and despair, yet he refused to let his disability define him. Instead, he channeled his emotions into his compositions, producing works that conveyed triumph over adversity. The Appassionata Sonata, Piano Sonata No. 23 in F minor, for instance, is a fiery and intense piece that captures Beethoven's inner turmoil while showcasing his innovative approach to piano writing. This sonata, along with others from this period, reflects his ability to infuse instrumental music with narrative depth. Beethoven's symphonies during this time continued to redefine the genre. His Symphony No. 5 in C minor, 1808, is perhaps the most iconic of all, with its unforgettable four-note motif that has come to symbolize fate and determination. The symphony's dramatic arc, moving from struggle to triumph, resonated deeply with audiences and solidified its place as one of the most famous works in the Western musical canon. Its innovative use of orchestral forces and thematic development further demonstrated Beethoven's mastery of symphonic composition. In addition to his symphonies, Beethoven's middle period produced groundbreaking works in other genres. His Violin Concerto in D major, 1806, elevated the violin concerto to new artistic heights, combining technical brilliance with lyrical beauty. Similarly, his Razumovsky String Quartets, Op. 59, expanded the expressive possibilities of chamber music, blending classical forms with romantic intensity. These works challenge performers and listeners alike, reflecting Beethoven's unyielding commitment to artistic innovation. The Fidelio Opera, Beethoven's only work in this genre, also emerged during this period. Although it underwent several revisions, the opera's central themes of justice, liberty, and the triumph of the human spirit resonated with Beethoven's Enlightenment ideals. While Fidelio was not immediately successful, it remains a testament to his belief in the transformative power of music and its ability to reflect humanity's highest aspirations. One of the defining features of Beethoven's middle period was his approach to form and structure. While he retained many of the classical forms he inherited, he expanded and transformed them, creating works of unprecedented scale and complexity. His symphonies grew longer, his harmonic language became more adventurous, and his use of thematic development reached new heights. This willingness to innovate often perplexed contemporary audiences, but ultimately set the stage for the Romantic era's emphasis on individual expression and emotional depth. During this period, Beethoven also solidified his reputation as an independent artist. Unlike many of his predecessors who relied on steady patronage, Beethoven forged a new path, earning income through public performances, publishing, and commissions. While he maintained relationships with aristocratic patrons, such as Archduke Rudolf and Prince Lobkowitz, he was increasingly determined to create music on his own terms. This independence allowed him the creative freedom to pursue his bold artistic vision, further distinguishing him from his contemporaries. Despite his professional successes, Beethoven's personal life during this period was marked by continued struggles. His worsening deafness isolated him from others, and his often volatile personality made it difficult for him to maintain close relationships. Romantic disappointments, financial pressures, and health issues compounded his challenges. Yet, these adversities seemed to fuel his artistic drive, pushing him to explore new heights of expression and innovation. By the end of his middle period, Beethoven had firmly established himself as a transformative figure in the world of music. His works from this time not only redefined the possibilities of composition, but also resonated with the broader cultural and philosophical currents of his era. The themes of heroism, struggle, and triumph that permeate his music reflected both his personal journey and the aspirations of a society in the throes of political and social change. Beethoven's middle period remains a testament to the power of resilience and creativity, demonstrating how great art can emerge from profound challenges and leave an enduring impact on humanity. Ludwig van Beethoven's progressive hearing loss was one of the most defining and challenging aspects of his life. For a musician and composer of his stature, the loss of this vital sense might have seemed insurmountable. Yet Beethoven's ability to persevere and create masterful works during this time stands as a testament to the indomitable human spirit. His struggle with deafness did not diminish his genius. Instead, it heightened his resolve to create music that transcended physical limitations and reached into the profound depths of human emotion and experience. Beethoven's hearing difficulties began to manifest in the late 1790s, during his 20s. Initially, he experienced tinnitus, a constant ringing in his ears, and gradually found it harder to hear high-pitched sounds. By the early 1800s, his condition had worsened significantly, causing immense psychological distress. The fear of public humiliation and the prospect of losing his career drove him into isolation. Despite consulting numerous physicians, he found no cure, and his deafness steadily progressed, leaving him almost entirely unable to hear by his mid-40s. The psychological toll of Beethoven's deafness cannot be overstated. Music was not merely a profession for Beethoven. It was his life's purpose and his primary mode of expression. Losing the ability to hear seemed like a cruel irony for someone whose identity was so deeply intertwined with sound. The anguish he felt is poignantly expressed in the Heiligenstadt Testament, a letter he wrote to his brothers in 1802. In this document, Beethoven confessed his despair and even suicidal thoughts, but ultimately resolved to live for his art. This decision marked a turning point, as Beethoven embraced his role as an artist with a higher purpose, creating music that could communicate the ineffable. As Beethoven's hearing deteriorated, he began to rely on other means to compose and interact with the world. He used ear trumpets to amplify sound and communicated through conversation books, where others would write down their words for him to read. Despite these adaptations, Beethoven's isolation grew, and his relationships with others often became strained. However, his creative output did not wane. Instead, it entered a period of extraordinary depth and innovation. One of the most remarkable aspects of Beethoven's career during this period is how he continued to compose with such precision and brilliance despite his deafness. He relied on his internal sense of sound, honed through years of training and practice, to imagine and construct his compositions. His ability to hear music in his mind allowed him to experiment with complex harmonies, unconventional structures, and bold thematic developments, many of which were groundbreaking for the time. The works composed during Beethoven's years of near-total deafness include some of his most profound creations. The Symphony No. 9 in D minor, completed in 1824, stands as a crowning achievement. This monumental work, featuring a choral finale set to Friedrich Schiller's Ode to Joy, is a powerful expression of unity and the triumph of the human spirit. The symphony's inclusion of vocal soloists and a full chorus was unprecedented in symphonic music, breaking barriers and expanding the boundaries of the genre. That Beethoven could compose such an ambitious work without being able to hear it performed is a testament to his unparalleled genius. In addition to the Ninth Symphony, Beethoven's late string quartets, composed during his final years, reflect the depth of his introspection and creativity. These quartets, including Op. 127, Op. 130, and the Gross Fugue, are characterized by their emotional intensity, structural complexity, and innovative use of musical language. Critics and audiences of the time often found these works perplexing, but they have since been recognized as some of the most profound and forward-thinking compositions in Western music. Beethoven's deafness also influenced his relationship with audiences and the broader musical community. His isolation led him to focus more on creating music for posterity rather than immediate public approval. This shift allowed him to take greater risks in his compositions, prioritizing artistic integrity over commercial success. In doing so, Beethoven set a precedent for future composers, emphasizing the importance of individual expression and innovation. The triumph of Beethoven's later years is not merely a triumph of artistry, but also a triumph of resilience. His ability to overcome the devastating effects of deafness and continue to create masterpieces speaks to the power of human determination. Beethoven's story resonates deeply because it reflects a universal truth. Adversity, no matter how overwhelming, can be a catalyst for profound growth and achievement. By the time of his death in 1827, Beethoven had not only transformed the landscape of Western music, but also left an enduring legacy of perseverance and courage. His struggle with deafness remains an integral part of his mythos, inspiring countless individuals to overcome their own challenges. Beethoven's life and work remind us that the greatest achievements often arise from the deepest struggles, and that the human spirit, when fueled by passion and purpose, is capable of transcending even the most formidable obstacles. The final chapter of Ludwig van Beethoven's creative life, often referred to as his late period, stands as a profound testament to the depth of his artistic vision and philosophical reflection. Spanning roughly from 1815 until his death in 1827, this period is characterized by compositions that transcend the boundaries of traditional musical forms, delving into themes of spirituality, human struggle, and transcendence. These works, which include the late string quartets, the monumental Symphony No. 9, and the Missa Solemnis, showcase a composer at the height of his powers, creating music that continues to captivate and challenge listeners to this day. Beethoven's late period was marked by significant personal struggles, including his worsening health, complete deafness, and ongoing financial and familial difficulties. His legal battle for the guardianship of his nephew Karl was a particularly taxing ordeal, consuming much of his energy and leaving him emotionally drained. Despite these challenges, Beethoven's creativity flourished, producing works of unparalleled depth and innovation. This paradox of personal hardship and artistic triumph underscores the resilience of Beethoven's spirit and the transformative power of his music. One of the defining characteristics of Beethoven's late works is their introspective and experimental nature. The late string quartets, composed between 1825 and 1826, are often regarded as the pinnacle of his artistic achievement. These quartets, including Op. 127, Op. 130, Op. 131, Op. 132, and Op. 135, break with conventional forms, exploring new structural and harmonic possibilities. For example, the string quartet in C-sharp minor, Op. 131, unfolds in 7 continuous movements, defying the traditional 4-movement structure. The emotional range of these quartets is staggering, moving seamlessly between profound melancholy, spiritual serenity, and bursts of joyous energy. Among these quartets, the Gross Fugue, Op. 133, stands out for its audacity and complexity. Originally conceived as the final movement of Op. 130, this fugue was so unconventional that Beethoven's contemporaries found it bewildering. Its intricate counterpoint and dissonant harmonies pushed the boundaries of the string quartet form, prefiguring the avant-garde music of the 20th century. Today, the Gross Fugue is celebrated as a masterpiece of innovation, exemplifying Beethoven's willingness to challenge both himself and his audience. The Missa Solemnis, completed in 1823, is another cornerstone of Beethoven's late period. This large-scale setting of the Catholic Mass is less a liturgical work than a deeply personal statement of faith and spirituality. Beethoven poured his soul into this composition, describing it as the most accomplished work he had ever written. The Missa Solemnis combines intricate counterpoint, profound emotional expression, and a sense of universal humanism, reflecting Beethoven's belief in the power of music to unite and elevate humanity. Beethoven's crowning achievement during his late period is undoubtedly the Symphony No. 9 in D minor, Op. 125. Completed in 1824, this work represents the culmination of Beethoven's artistic and philosophical ideals. The symphony's choral finale, set to Friedrich Schiller's Ode to Joy, celebrates universal brotherhood and the triumph of hope over despair. The integration of voices into the symphonic form was a groundbreaking innovation, symbolizing the unification of humanity through art. The Ninth Symphony's themes of unity, peace, and transcendence have made it one of the most iconic works in Western music, inspiring countless interpretations and performances worldwide. The Ninth Symphony also holds particular significance as a personal statement from Beethoven. By the time of its premiere, he was completely deaf and unable to hear the music that the audience so enthusiastically applauded. According to accounts, Beethoven had to be turned around to see the standing ovation, a poignant moment that underscores both his isolation and his enduring connection to his audience. This symphony, composed in silence, resonates with the universal themes of resilience and hope that defined Beethoven's life and work. In addition to their technical brilliance, Beethoven's late works are imbued with a profound sense of spirituality and philosophical depth. They reflect his engagement with ideas of transcendence, eternity, and the human condition. The use of variation form, fugue, and extended structures in his compositions suggests a search for deeper truths and an attempt to express the ineffable. His music during this period transcends the personal and speaks to universal themes, addressing questions of existence, purpose, and the divine. The reception of Beethoven's late works during his lifetime was mixed. While some contemporaries recognized their genius, others found them difficult to understand, describing them as overly complex or eccentric. However, these compositions have since been re-evaluated and celebrated as some of the most profound achievements in Western art. They have influenced generations of composers, including Brahms, Wagner, and Schoenberg, and continue to inspire musicians and audiences with their depth and originality. Beethoven's late period represents the culmination of his artistic journey, showcasing a composer who refused to be constrained by convention or circumstance. His ability to innovate and explore new dimensions of musical expression, even in the face of immense personal hardship, is a testament to his extraordinary genius and resilience. Through his late works, Beethoven achieved a level of artistry that transcends time, offering listeners a glimpse into the deepest recesses of the human spirit. By the time of his death in 1827, Beethoven had not only transformed the world of music, but also left an enduring legacy as a symbol of artistic courage and human perseverance. His late works stand as a monument to the power of creativity and the capacity of the human spirit to overcome adversity and reach for the sublime. As Beethoven himself once wrote, "Music is the mediator between the spiritual and the sensual life." His late period masterpieces embody this philosophy, offering profound insights into the nature of existence and the boundless possibilities of the human imagination. Ludwig van Beethoven's legacy extends far beyond his own lifetime, leaving an indelible mark on the evolution of Western classical music and inspiring countless composers, musicians, and listeners throughout the centuries. His innovations, both in form and content, paved the way for the Romantic period and significantly altered the course of music history. Beethoven's influence can be seen not only in the works of his immediate successors, such as Brahms, Schumann, and Wagner, but also in the broader cultural and philosophical movements of the 19th and 20th centuries. As a figure of artistic genius and personal resilience, Beethoven's life and music have become symbols of the triumph of the human spirit. One of the most significant aspects of Beethoven's legacy is his expansion of musical forms. Throughout his career, Beethoven sought to stretch the boundaries of classical forms, making them more expressive and emotionally complex. In his symphonies, string quartets, and sonatas, Beethoven expanded upon the structures established by earlier composers like Haydn and Mozart. The complexity and emotional depth of his compositions challenged the traditional notions of what music could convey. His symphonies, especially the Eroica Symphony and the Ninth Symphony, were unprecedented in their length, scope, and dramatic intensity, setting new standards for symphonic writing. Beethoven's innovations were not confined to large-scale works. His exploration of smaller forms, such as piano sonatas and chamber music, was equally groundbreaking. His piano sonatas, for example, evolved from the formal, elegant structures of the classical period into works of profound emotional depth and technical complexity. The Appassionata Sonata and the Hammerklavier Sonata, both composed in his middle and late periods, pushed the boundaries of the piano as an instrument, introducing new techniques and approaches to dynamics, phrasing, and texture. These works paved the way for later composers, such as Chopin, Liszt, and Brahms, who would further expand the expressive possibilities of the piano. In the realm of orchestral music, Beethoven's Symphony No. 9, with its inclusion of a choral finale, was a groundbreaking moment in the development of the symphonic form. This inclusion of voices, along with the symphonic instruments, created a synthesis of instrumental and vocal music that was unprecedented. The Ode to Joy in the final movement of the Ninth Symphony has become one of the most recognizable and powerful expressions of universal brotherhood and human dignity in music. The symphony's impact on subsequent composers cannot be overstated, as it inspired a shift in symphonic writing, leading composers like Brahms and Mahler to experiment with larger-scale, orchestral works that incorporated elements of vocal music. Beethoven's influence extended beyond the realm of classical music into other art forms, including literature, philosophy, and visual arts. His music, with its grand emotional sweep and philosophical themes, resonated deeply with the intellectual movements of the 19th century, particularly Romanticism. Writers and poets such as Goethe, Schiller, and Byron were inspired by Beethoven's ability to express the sublime and the heroic in his music. His compositions became synonymous with the romantic ideals of individualism, emotional intensity, and the pursuit of artistic freedom. And his life story of overcoming personal adversity became a model of artistic heroism. In terms of philosophy, Beethoven's music captured the spirit of the Enlightenment, which emphasized reason, liberty, and the potential for human progress, but also anticipated the romantic ideals of self-expression and emotional authenticity. The Ode to Joy in his Ninth Symphony, for instance, aligns with the ideals of universal brotherhood and freedom, which were central to the Enlightenment and the French Revolution. At the same time, Beethoven's exploration of the inner emotional world in his late string quartets and piano sonatas foreshadowed the more introspective and subjective nature of Romantic philosophy. Throughout the 19th century, Beethoven's works became an essential part of the musical canon, with composers across Europe drawing inspiration from his innovations. The composers of the Romantic era, in particular, revered Beethoven as a model of artistic independence and emotional expression. He had established the idea of the composer as a solitary genius, whose music was an expression of personal vision rather than a product of social or political expectations. This model would influence the careers of many later composers, including Richard Wagner, Johannes Brahms, and Franz Schubert, who saw in Beethoven's music the possibility of creating works that were deeply personal and emotionally powerful. In the 20th century, Beethoven's influence continued to resonate with composers across a wide spectrum of styles. Modernists such as Arnold Schoenberg and Igor Stravinsky admired Beethoven's capacity for structural innovation and his willingness to challenge traditional harmonic and formal conventions. His exploration of dissonance, counterpoint, and thematic development in works like the Grosse Fugue and the late string quartets foreshadowed the experimental techniques of 20th century composers. At the same time, Beethoven's music remained a touchstone for composers in more traditional forms, such as Gustav Mahler and Sergei Rachmaninoff, who continued to build upon his symphonic language. Beethoven's impact on performance practice is equally profound. The way his music is interpreted and performed has evolved over time, with conductors and musicians continually exploring new ways to bring his works to life. Early performances of his music were often steeped in the traditions of the classical period, but by the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Conductors such as Wilhelm Furtwängler and Herbert von Karajan sought to interpret Beethoven's works with greater emotional intensity and freedom. In contemporary performances, Beethoven's music is often characterized by its vigorous tempos, expansive dynamics, and a more personal approach to interpretation, reflecting the ongoing relevance of his work in the modern era. In addition to his musical influence, Beethoven's personal story has become emblematic of the artist's struggle for authenticity in a world that often seeks conformity. His deafness, financial struggles, and tumultuous personal relationships have all contributed to the myth of Beethoven as a tortured genius. His resilience in the face of these challenges has inspired countless individuals, both within the world of music and beyond, who see in his life story a powerful example of overcoming adversity and achieving greatness against all odds. The cultural significance of Beethoven's music cannot be overstated. His works continue to be performed regularly around the world, and his influence extends far beyond the concert hall. His music has been used in films, advertisements, and even as a symbol of political and social movements. The Ode to Joy, in particular, has become a global anthem of unity and hope, most notably serving as the anthem of the European Union. Beethoven's music, with its themes of universal brotherhood, triumph over adversity, and the power of the human spirit, speaks to a deep and enduring sense of shared humanity that transcends time, culture, and circumstance. In conclusion, Ludwig van Beethoven's legacy is vast and multifaceted, extending far beyond the confines of classical music. His innovations in musical form, his philosophical depth, and his personal resilience have shaped not only the trajectory of Western music, but also the broader cultural and intellectual movements of the 19th and 20th centuries. Beethoven's works remain a cornerstone of the classical repertoire, and his influence can be felt in virtually every area of music and culture. His life and music continue to inspire generations of musicians, philosophers, artists, and listeners, reminding us of the transformative power of art and the enduring relevance of Beethoven's vision for the human experience. Ludwig van Beethoven's music, with its transformative power, complexity, and profound emotional depth, remains as relevant today as it was during his lifetime. As a symbol of artistic genius and resilience, his works continue to resonate deeply with contemporary audiences, transcending the boundaries of classical music and influencing a diverse range of disciplines. From the concert hall to film scores, from political movements to personal expressions of struggle and triumph, Beethoven's legacy has become an integral part of the modern world. His music endures as a beacon of hope, inspiration, and a testament to the human spirit's capacity for overcoming adversity. In the realm of music, Beethoven's works are still central to the classical repertoire. Performances of his symphonies, piano sonatas, and string quartets remain a cornerstone of orchestral, chamber, and solo performances worldwide. The emotional intensity, structural innovation, and harmonic exploration found in his music continue to challenge and inspire performers, conductors, and composers. Beethoven's compositions demand a level of technical virtuosity and interpretive depth that pushes musicians to their limits. His ability to capture the human experience in sound, conveying joy, despair, triumph, and introspection, remains unparalleled, making his music a compelling and profound experience for both performers and listeners. Beethoven's influence can be felt not only in the works of composers within the classical tradition, but also in a wide range of contemporary genres. His innovations in form and structure, particularly his use of thematic development, harmonic exploration, and emotional narrative, have found their way into jazz, popular music, and film scores. Modern film composers such as John Williams, Hans Zimmer, and Ennio Morricone have drawn inspiration from Beethoven's use of expansive orchestral forces and dramatic emotional arcs. The powerful and sweeping soundscapes that characterize many film scores echo the grandeur and emotional depth of Beethoven's symphonic works, further cementing his influence beyond the classical world. One of the most enduring aspects of Beethoven's legacy is his music's connection to the human experience. Beethoven's works reflect a profound understanding of the complexities of human emotion, from the exuberance of youth to the somber reflections of old age. This universality allows his music to transcend time and place, speaking to listeners in the modern world with the same intensity as it did to his contemporaries. Whether through the grandiosity of the Eroica Symphony, the meditative nature of his late string quartets, or the stirring optimism of the Ode to Joy, Beethoven's music continues to resonate with listeners who find in it both solace and inspiration. In the cultural and political spheres, Beethoven's music has become a symbol of struggle, liberation, and unity. The Ode to Joy from his Symphony No. 9, in particular, has transcended its original context to become an anthem of hope and human solidarity. It was adopted as the anthem of the European Union in 1972, symbolizing unity and the collective pursuit of peace across national boundaries. This adoption speaks to Beethoven's belief in the universal brotherhood of humanity, a message that is just as relevant today as it was when he composed the symphony in the early 19th century. The music's capacity to evoke a sense of shared humanity, transcending cultural and political divisions, underscores Beethoven's vision of a world united by the power of art and the human spirit. Beethoven's own life story of overcoming personal adversity has also become a source of inspiration for many. His struggles with deafness, isolation, and personal tragedy did not deter him from creating some of the most remarkable music in the Western canon. In fact, these challenges seem to have fueled his artistic vision, imbuing his late works with an emotional depth that resonates deeply with listeners today. His perseverance in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles makes his life and music an enduring symbol of resilience, reminding individuals facing their own struggles of the potential for greatness that lies within the human spirit. In education, Beethoven's works are still studied in great depth, with music students around the world learning to interpret, perform, and understand his compositions. His symphonies and sonatas serve as essential milestones in the study of Western classical music, and his innovative approaches to harmony, rhythm, and structure continue to influence music theory and composition. Beethoven's late string quartets and piano sonatas, in particular, are subjects of intense academic study, with scholars exploring their complexities, philosophical undertones, and innovative techniques. In this sense, Beethoven remains a central figure in the academic and pedagogical landscape, his music continuing to shape the development of young musicians and composers. Furthermore, Beethoven's music holds a significant place in popular culture, frequently appearing in films, commercials, and television shows. The emotional weight and cultural significance of his compositions make them an ideal vehicle for conveying deep emotional truths in visual media. Films such as The King's Speech and Immortal Beloved have used Beethoven's music to underscore themes of struggle, resilience, and human connection, reintroducing his work to new generations of listeners. Beethoven's music, especially the Ode to Joy, has also been used in advertising campaigns, where its universal appeal and emotional power serve to evoke feelings of triumph, unity, and hope. Beethoven's ability to bridge the gap between the personal and the universal is one of the key reasons his music continues to resonate in the modern world. His compositions, often deeply introspective and profoundly philosophical, speak to timeless truths about the human condition. At the same time, they transcend individual experiences, allowing listeners from all walks of life to connect with the universal themes of joy, sorrow, struggle, and triumph. Whether experienced in the concert hall or through the medium of film, Beethoven's music remains a powerful means of expressing and understanding the full range of human emotion. In addition to the impact on music and culture, Beethoven's legacy has shaped the way society views the role of the artist. His life and work exemplify the idea that the artist is not simply a product of their environment, but rather an individual who shapes and challenges the world around them. Beethoven's rejection of traditional norms and his pursuit of artistic autonomy in the face of personal adversity have set a precedent for generations of artists who have followed in his footsteps. He is a symbol of the artist as a fearless innovator, one whose vision transcends the constraints of society and who dares to challenge established norms in pursuit of greater truths. In conclusion, Ludwig van Beethoven's legacy continues to reverberate throughout the modern world. His music remains a cornerstone of the classical repertoire, while his influence extends into contemporary genres, film, popular culture, and political movements. His life story of perseverance and resilience has inspired generations, and his music continues to speak to the depths of the human experience. Beethoven's enduring relevance is a testament to the power of music to transcend time and place, to inspire and challenge us, and to remind us of the universal truths that connect us all. In every note he composed, Beethoven crafted a bridge between the past and the future, between the personal and the universal, ensuring that his legacy would continue to shape the world for centuries to come.